Michigan is known today for quiet forests, endless freshwater coastlines, and snow-covered peninsulas shaped by ice and time. But beneath those forests, beneath the lakes, and beneath the land people drive across every day, lies a story far older than textbooks admit. A story carved into stone, hidden beneath water, and whispered through artifacts that should not exist. At least not according to conventional history. These are not legends from medieval Europe or myths from lost continents. These mysteries belong to Michigan, and despite centuries of investigation, science still cannot fully explain them. Long before recorded history, long before the first European explorers reached the Great Lakes, someone was here. Not briefly, not accidentally. They stayed, they worked, they mined, they built, and then they vanished. Across the northern wilderness of Michigan, especially near the shores of Lake Superior, evidence remains of one of the greatest ancient industrial operations ever discovered in North America. Tens of thousands of ancient copper mining pits spread across the land, many stretching back thousands of years. At places like Isle Royale and Michigan's Keweenaw Peninsula, archaeologists have documented prehistoric mines that predate the pyramids of Egypt. Some estimates suggest that as much as 500 million pounds of copper were removed from these sites over thousands of years. That number alone raises an unsettling question. Where did all that copper go? The Native American tribes known to inhabit the region historically used copper, yes, but in relatively small quantities, simple tools, decorative items, ceremonial objects, nothing remotely close to the industrial-scale extraction evidenced by the ancient pits, stone hammers, and mining shafts buried beneath layers of soil and forest growth. The copper was not stockpiled locally. It was not traded in quantities that match the scale of mining. It simply disappears from the archaeological record. Even more disturbing is the technology involved. The miners used hammerstones weighing up to 40 pounds, some grooved for handles, found by the tens of thousands. Fire-setting techniques were employed to fracture solid rock, an advanced method requiring planning, fuel, and labor coordination. These were not wandering hunter-gatherers casually extracting surface copper. This was organized, systematic, long-term mining. Radiocarbon dating places some of these operations as far back as 7,000 to 9,000 years ago. That timeline does not fit comfortably with mainstream narratives of North American prehistory. And then there are the tools that should not exist at all. In the late 1800s, miners digging modern shafts uncovered artifacts buried deep below layers of glacial clay, layers believed to be over 10,000 years old. Among them were precision-cut stone objects, metallic implements, and carved shapes that defy known indigenous styles. Some pieces bore geometric symmetry that would require advanced craftsmanship. Others appeared to be made of alloys not native to the region. Many of these discoveries vanished into private collections, museums, or were quietly dismissed as misidentified natural formations. Others were simply discarded. But the land keeps revealing its secrets. Throughout Michigan, massive stone formations have been found that resemble deliberate constructions rather than natural occurrences. Long rows of stones aligned with celestial events. Circular arrangements suggesting ceremonial or navigational use. In remote forested areas, stone walls snake across the land, buried under centuries of soil, too large and deliberate to be random glacial debris. Near the southern edge of the state, mysterious earthen mounds rise from the landscape. Some are burial sites, yes, but others contain no human remains at all. Instead, they appear to have been platforms, markers, or foundations. Their alignments, correspond with solar cycles, equinoxes, and lunar events, suggesting astronomical knowledge far more sophisticated than commonly attributed to ancient North American cultures. And then there is the water. Lake Michigan and Lake Superior are not just vast bodies of fresh water. They are time capsules. Beneath their cold, dark surfaces lie structures that challenge everything we believe about early human settlement. In 2007, sonar scans beneath Lake Michigan revealed a formation now referred to as the Michigan Stonehenge. A line of large stones arranged in a deliberate pattern, including one massive rock etched with what appears to be a mastodon carving. Mastodons, according to accepted science, went extinct around 11,000 years ago. If the carving is authentic, and many experts believe it is, then it implies human presence in the region during or before the last ice age. That alone would rewrite the timeline of human migration into North America. But the questions only deepen. How did ancient people place massive stones underwater at depths that would have been dry land thousands of years ago? Why are similar submerged structures found across the Great Lakes region? Were these ceremonial sites, navigation markers, or remnants of settlements swallowed by rising waters as glaciers melted? And if so, how advanced were the people who built them? Legends passed down through native oral traditions speak of an ancient race that came before modern tribes. A people described as tall, powerful, and skilled in metalworking. Some stories call them the Copper People. Others describe giants who lived along the lakes, built stone structures, and were eventually wiped out by war, disease, or cataclysm. For generations, these stories were dismissed as myth. But myths have a habit of preserving truths that history forgets. In several locations across Michigan, unusually large skeletal remains were reported during the 19th and early 20th centuries. Newspaper articles from the time describe skeletons measuring over 7 feet tall, discovered in burial mounds. Many of these remains were taken by institutions and never seen again. Today, no verified examples remain accessible for study. Skeptics argue exaggeration or mismeasurement. Others point out a troubling pattern. Inconvenient discoveries have a way of disappearing. Then there are the symbols. Carved stones discovered across Michigan bear markings that resemble Old World scripts, Phoenician, Libyan, even early European runes. One such artifact, known as the Michigan relics, sparked intense controversy. Critics labeled them hoaxes. Supporters pointed out linguistic consistencies and weathering patterns inconsistent with modern forgery. The debate remains unresolved. Could ancient transoceanic contact have occurred thousands of years earlier than accepted? Could sailors from distant civilizations have reached the Great Lakes via river systems long before Columbus? Or were these symbols developed independently by a forgotten culture whose story was erased by time? Even the land itself seems to resist simple explanations. Michigan's geography shows signs of massive ancient flooding events not fully explained by glacial retreat models. Sudden water level rises, catastrophic outflows, and rapid shoreline changes suggest dramatic events that could have wiped out entire settlements almost overnight. If a civilization existed here, one capable of mining 500 million pounds of copper, constructing stone alignments, navigating celestial cycles, and possibly trading beyond the continent, its collapse would not have been gradual. It would have been sudden, violent, final. And yet, no written records survive. Or do they? Some researchers believe the copper extracted from Michigan did not remain in North America at all. Traces of isotopic signatures matching Great Lakes copper have allegedly been identified in ancient Bronze Age artifacts found in Europe and the Middle East. If confirmed, this would imply a global trade network operating thousands of years earlier than acknowledged. Mainstream academia remains skeptical, but skepticism does not erase evidence, it only delays understanding. Today, many of Michigan's most mysterious sites remain unexplored, protected, or forgotten. Dense forests cover ancient pits, water conceals stone formations, artifacts sit in storage, uncatalogued and unstudied. Funding favors safe conclusions, not disruptive questions. Science excels at explaining what fits within established frameworks. But Michigan's ancient mysteries do not fit. They linger at the edges of certainty, daring us to look closer, to ask harder questions, to accept that human history may be older, more complex, and more interconnected than we are comfortable admitting. Because if these mysteries are true, if an advanced culture once thrived here and vanished, then history is not a straight line of progress. It is a cycle. And Michigan may be standing on the ruins of a world we have forgotten, a world science has not yet explained, and perhaps is not ready to.